Hi everyone, Joe March here, also known as Sorcerer, and today we're going to talk about following your calling. What the fuck does that mean? You probably heard this talked about in New Age circles as like following your bliss, or following your joy, or some other shit like that. And you probably hear it in the occulty circles as following your intuition. But I'm here to tell you that those ways of explaining it are confusing as fuck. I prefer to refer to it as following your calling. But that's also confusing if you don't understand how I mean it. I don't mean calling in the traditional sense that some people have started to use this term. I don't mean that you have a certain job or career path or label that defines you that is your calling. I was called here to do this as a human. No. Your calling changes moment by moment, day by day. Your calling is like, hey, the eternity or the source or the all or whatever you want to call it is calling you up and saying you have to do something right now, and you answer the phone and go, oh shit, I'll do that right now. That's your calling. Your calling is not like, I was called here to be an artist. Like, you might like being an artist. There might be times where you're called to make a piece of art, but your calling happens in a moment and lasts for that moment. So here's a bad example, but for some reason I think it's going to get it through people's heads. My son might come home from school, and he's got a bunch of homework that he's got to do. And I tell him, you got to work on this homework, and I let him do it himself because that's what you're supposed to do. But at some point, he gets into a period of trouble where he's like, I've tried this again and again, but I'm stuck on something, and I need my dad's help. And when he comes to me in that moment and says, hey, I need your help, will I put down work, assuming I'm working remotely in this scenario, and go help him? Yes. And when I do that, does it feel like following a bliss? No. Does it feel like responsibility forcing me to do it? No. It just feels like this is obviously what I should be doing right now. He needs help in this one area. He's asking you for help. It won't take you that long. This help will help him get to the next level. It's an opportunity for him to actually listen to your guidance, possibly teach him something, and help him to elevate himself. It's also an opportunity for you to interact with your family in a way other than just having fun and other than just being the rules maker or whatever. It all is good for everyone involved, and you feel this need to make that good thing happen. Now, if you follow that calling when it happens, do you eventually feel bliss as a result? Yes. And I think that's why all these New Agers say follow your bliss. But the thing is, you can't follow the thing that's going to come from something. You don't know it's going to bring you bliss till you do it. You're not actually following the bliss. You're following the thing that brings you bliss in the end. Sometimes the thing that's going to bring you bliss in the end is not fun. Sometimes it's like shadow work. And you'll know if you're called to do your shadow work because you're going to be like, man, there's this thing in my past that I really don't want to look at. But for some reason, every fucking day it comes up. So guess what? I'm going to have to look at it. And that feeling that I have to do this thing, not because someone is forcing me, but because I won't let myself let it go. That's the calling. That's one of the times you're called for that. So do it. Do the thing you're being called for. And this doesn't mean when you have like a negative thought that keeps coming up, you can't be like, let's squash that. Maybe your calling is to figure out how to calm that shit down. But there's something calling you when you feel that way. And it's that way for positive and negative things. What you're starting to key into when you feel this is the times when you can tell you need to do something for your own growth or for someone else's benefit that will help them in this way. And it isn't just as simple as to say like, oh, I do stuff to help other people. Because you could help thousands of other people and not feel like you're following a calling. It's real weird shit. Don't try to psychoanalyze it. It's weird. So when you start feeling called to do something, it's not going to be like, woo, woo, woo. It's not obvious. It's very subtle. But you know it when you feel it for like a second. And part of becoming more aware, becoming more present in the moment is being able to recognize when you feel that. Because it will be momentary. It'll be the instant the idea forms or the instant you see, it'll be right away. You'll see something happening or you'll experience something and all of a sudden be like, I need to do this. And you will have that idea that I need to do this, and as soon as it's there, you have 3 different options. You can just listen to it, which is the best option. You can question it, but recognize it for what it is, going like, okay, is this a calling? Am I being called to do this right now? Or you can turn that shit down. You're allowed to not follow the calling. But usually the way the third one happens is that you overanalyze it. You see something, you go, oh, I need to get involved in that right now. And then you go, whoa. Do I though? And now you've moved away from the part where you were being called and you've moved into your own thoughts. And that's fine. But it's real easy to just forget the call happened when that happens, and then just start thinking about all the things that could go wrong, or all the things that might not be the way you want it to be, or all the things that could go right and getting excited about something else, or, man, I have other things I got to do today. I'm going to put that off. And then later, the same call will likely come again. Not always, because sometimes the opportunity is only there for a moment, and if you don't do it, then someone else gets to do that calling. Or no one, and bad shit can happen. But if you give it up and then it comes back, it'll come back. And the first time when it pops back, that first thought is going to be, oh yeah, I need to deal with that. Or, oh yeah, I need to do that. And you know what? Then you go, do I though? Stop doing that. Stop questioning it. And I'm not saying don't think about the best way to do it, or don't make sure it's a good idea before you do something, because you could do something stupid. Sometimes your calling is to deal with something in a way that's not obvious, so sometimes you do need to think about it. And sometimes you might think something's your calling because you don't understand what a calling is yet. So don't just go, oh, Joe said anytime an idea comes in my head, I should just do it. That's not what we're talking about. It feels different. And if you are tuned in enough to yourself in the moment, you will notice it. And once you start to notice it, you will notice it all the time. This is what's been happening to me lately, is that once I've started to key in to when something feels this way, I've started to notice them multiple times a week that I get called to do something. And every single time, the end result is either something that improves my life or improves my growth or answers a question for me or makes me face something that I need to face, or it helps someone else in one of those ways, or both. Every single time it ends up being impactful. Now, I said this before, I'm going to say it again. Your calling is not your job. I mean, it kind of is your job to follow your calling, but your calling is not one thing. It's not like your calling is to protect. You will protect people. No, your calling is whatever the fuck the calling is when it comes. Each time it's different. It's like a call to do something in that moment. It's not a calling that you take on as a label or as a person or as a being. It's recognizing when you feel this call to do something and acting on it, and realizing from doing it again and again that when you act on that calling, every time it shows up, your life improves, and in fact it starts to improve more rapidly because you're no longer questioning what to do when that happens. And that's what I think these New Agers are trying to explain when they say follow your bliss or follow your joy, or some of them are just doing half of it. When the calling sounds nice, they're following it. That's still better than not following it. But they're fucking up half the time. That's okay. You guys will get it eventually. And then, the intuition thing. Follow your intuition. Well, sometimes your intuition is just like, there's a fear here because I saw a raccoon and thought it was a dog, or something. Who knows? Sometimes your intuition is off. You can't just follow it on everything. Sometimes your intuition is like, I really feel like we're going to win some gambling thing today. Let's spend all our money on it. Don't just follow everything your intuition tells you. That's bad advice. But don't never follow it. That's bad advice. And I think when people say follow your intuition, what they're really saying is this little thing, this voice in your head that tells you something has to happen. And I think calling it intuition makes it too broad. I like to call it the calling because it's different. But it feels like an intuition. It feels like an inner knowing. It feels like something you have to do. You're compelled to do. Sometimes it feels exciting. A lot of times it feels either exciting or anxiety ridden, but anxiety and excitement are very close to one another. You just get a feeling. I have this happen whenever people ask me if I'll do an interview on their channel, because I don't always love spending time scheduling an interview, talking to people when I don't know who they are, doing shit live because who knows what could happen. Like, I don't love all that stuff. And also, I'm not trying to grow my channel, so it's not like I need all this cross-pollination or anything like that. But sometimes someone will say, hey, I want to do an interview of you. Here's what I'm thinking of for a topic. And I'll look at it and I'll just have this knowing that this is something I got to do. It's going to be beneficial to me to talk through this with someone. It's going to be beneficial for someone who watches it. Not necessarily the masses. Someone else out there. Or maybe the other person I'm talking to. There will be something that comes out of this that's worth the effort. And I just know it in this weird, bizarre-ass way. It's not like I'm a prophet and project, oh, this is what I want to have happen. It's like you look at the situation and be like, yeah, I got to do that. In the same way that you feel when your kid asks you to help with the homework. It's not necessarily fun. It's not necessarily unfun. It just is something you feel compelled to do. I did this in the old Joe March style where shit's all over the place and I'm acting like this. Why? Because I'm back to that style. At least for now. I think I'm going to start doing some more creative stuff on the channel for a while, just like I did back in the day. I have talked to you guys to death about how I don't have a lot of other things to talk about on here from a spiritual perspective, but this particular topic felt important. For me personally, it has to do with that accepting the inner angel stuff that we've been talking about, with the union with the spiritual, angelic, whatever, all that stuff that I was showing you on that graph last time. I got my own stuff going on behind the scenes, but part of what I've been learning is that really at this stage, I've read all of these other books back here. I've read all of these ones. So that side's role-playing. All of these ones behind my bald head, I've read all these books. I've read a whole bunch of other shit. I've watched a bunch of stuff online. I've learned about different religions. I've learned about different philosophies, all this stuff. I spent a lot of time as an armchair magician. I spent a lot of time practicing magic. I've moved and changed practices here, there, wherever. I've done a lot of shit. And what intuitively and calling-wise is coming for me lately is that I should be mostly done in this, like, learning all this shit phase. Now, you're never done learning. And I'm not saying, like, I got all the answers. I'm just saying that for where I'm at in my life and what I need to go forward, I'm feeling repeatedly this message that I don't need to keep studying this. Shit that involves this will come to me on its own. And I have formed a basis, a foundation that I need to build. And that now I need to put into practice a lot of what I'm talking about here. More so than that. In other words, I could spend several days reading another book on magic. But the amount of gain I would get from reading this other person's point of view on yet another version of the thing I'm already practicing would be less than if I spent that same time just going out into the world and talking to people about random shit. I am at the point in my practice where I need to focus more on just being authentically myself in the moment and on answering the calling when it comes. And everything else will just work itself out if you do those two things. And that's what I'm finding. And that's what I've been practicing for the past couple months. And it works really well. Answer the call when it comes. And all other times, just be your authentic self in the moment. I mean, really, if I could just say, like, you know what, forget everything else and just do those things, I think that would help most people get to where they need to get. I don't think you need much more than that. So with that said, I'm probably going to cool it a bit on the magic lectures for a while. I just did another song video last week because I'm back in that creative mode. And I'm also starting to feel like I could just be myself, even though, yeah, sometimes I get in my head like, oh, I should have this channel be more professional, or like, you know, keep an air of like I know what I'm talking about instead of like I'm a ranting lunatic. But that's not me. I'm a silly dude who talks like this. This is me. This is what I'm like. And I'm moving back into that. Yes, I still practice. Yes, I think that these activities, these arts that we've practiced are important for people like me to get to where I'm getting now. But in the end, when you start to get to that point where life is getting better and you understand it and it's all working, just living in accordance with that is enough. You don't have to keep seeking that information. Now, am I still interested in some wild-ass wacky shit in the occult? Yes, but it's not anything I can really explain here. It's all like afterlife shit and crazy other stuff that's like, I don't have enough confidence in any of that stuff to talk about it. But, it is what it is. What I'm feeling right now called to do is to make this video specifically because it feels like it's an important thing to talk about, but it also feels like an important end cap on my Sorcerer 2.0 playlist, which is the playlist of all the magic-y based occult knowledge understandings that I came to as I was coming back into this on this channel. And a good way to end it. All you really need to do at the end of the day is be your authentic self as much as you can in the moment and follow your calling when it comes. And the rest works itself out. All the other things, shadow work, spell casting, whatever, that will come to you if you're called to it. So this doesn't say don't do them. It just gives you permission to be yourself and do what you're called to do instead of feeling compelled to know everything and understand every little nuance and be sure about it. You don't have to do all of that. It's not required. You just have to be yourself. And once in a while, follow your calling so that you continue to grow and evolve and help others to do the same. If we all did that, the world would be great. We don't all do that, but even if one more person does it, it's going to help a couple more people, and the thing ripples. So, you get what I'm saying. Now, for me personally, I'm feeling like I'm going to probably go back to doing some weird videos like I've done in the past, where I'm talking like a crazy ranting nut because I like talking like this, where I'm expressing some opinion that's not necessarily based on magic or the occult, or where I'm doing something silly like Google search the game and shit like that like I used to do. I think I'm going to do some fun stuff because what I'm feeling called toward right now is to just lighten it up. We need to have a little more lighten the load, just let's just have some laughs. The world is getting too dark. My audience knows who I am. They know what I think about all this stuff. We've all talked about this magic stuff to the ends of the earth, it feels like. And now we're at a point where I just want this to be a space where like-minded people can get together and have a good time. Now, am I the best person to do that? I don't know. I don't care. But I think the videos I'm going to make going forward are mostly just going to be silly. So if you're here oh no, where's the next magic video? It might come one day if I feel called to make one. But until I do, what I've been doing for a while is just doing no videos because I haven't felt any calling to make anything. But now I am feeling a calling, and that calling is to just do silly shit. To just feel like, hey, this is a hangout spot. This is a spot for people like me who we've practiced these things. We've got our own practice established. We're not really necessarily looking for more information on this stuff, even though we do find it interesting still. But it's nice to have like-minded people like that just talk about random shit sometimes. Let's just hang out like buds. So, for a while at least, that's what I'm going to try out here. Hope you guys like it. And until then, safe travels.